I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
Hey everybody, Chris Baker again. You may have realized that the words I'm saying right now don't actually match the words coming out of my mouth. To be honest, I totally rambled too long before getting to the point of this video, and I didn't want to bore you. Also, it kinda sounded crappy. Anyway, here's what you need to know going into this. 1. I worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and I loved it. It's one of my favorite things that I've done. 2. I also really loved comic books in 1996 when Marvel and DC had their DC vs. Marvel / Marvel vs. DC event. If you're not familiar with it, it's pretty much the biggest comic book crossover of all time. One of the really kind of memorable things that happened during that event was there was a point during the story where the universes actually combined and they formed the Amalgam universe. So instead of Wolverine and Batman, they would combine to become Dark Claw. Then you have like Storm and Wonder Woman would be Amazon. Captain America and Superman would be Super Soldier. You get the idea. It occurred to me that this will probably not ever happen again, at least not anytime soon, and the closest thing we might get to another Amalgam universe would be Marvel and Capcom actually combining their characters like this. In fact, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is kind of already doing this, with characters like Ultron Sigma, who is Ultron from Avengers and Sigma from Mega Man X combined into one character, and with environments like these right here. Now, I want to be extra clear, I know nothing about the actual development of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm not affiliated with it in any way whatsoever. My only professional relationship with it so far is actually as press. I did a story about a month ago on RollingStonesGlixel.com if you want to check that out. One of my favorite things that I got to do while I worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was help select the fan art that went into the book that came with the special edition of the game. And now that my role purely is fan, I figured I could do some fan art kind of stuff myself. Only thing is, I don't have any artistic ability whatsoever, so I actually found some people who do. And I took my concepts, which are an amalgam universe style thing for Marvel and Capcom, and I asked 3 incredibly talented artists to help me out. Here's what happened. Before we get to the characters, let's talk about the name of the universe itself. We can't go with amalgam again, because that's kind of been done before. And we also don't want to combine the names of the two universes to be something stupid. You know, they went with amalgam before, they didn't go with Darvel. So this isn't Marcom, it's not Capvel, those are dumb. But in the spirit of the word amalgam, and in the spirit of this game itself and everything it does, I think I have the perfect word. That's right, this is the combo universe.
This armor knows your next move before you do, Steve.
I first got to know Frogman through the internet when he put up a really great video where he took sound effects from Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and combined them with the big battle at the airport in Captain America Civil War. It's really great and you should all watch it in its entirety, description below. Turns out he's also a really cool artist, and he was really excited to help out with this project. He jumped on it right away. It seems we're both big fans of Devil May Cry, and he really wanted to do something with Dante. Seems like the perfect character to mix Dante with is Ghost Rider. Put them together, you get the Devil Rider. And here's his official, unofficial, bio. Abandoned by his mother, Naomi Sparta, Dante Blaze grew up without knowledge of the Sparta curse lingering inside of him. When his surrogate father was dying of cancer, Dante made a deal with the demon Mephistum to save him, at the cost of Dante's own soul. Though his surrogate father was saved from cancer, he soon died anyway in a motorcycle accident. Mephistum had fulfilled his end of the deal, however, and damned Dante's soul in a way he never thought possible. He bonded Dante with the spirit of vengeance, Zerosax, who also happened to be a rival demon at his mercy. Since bonding with Zerosax, Dante's demon within is unleashed whenever evil is near. He roams the country on his motorcycle, seeking to rid himself of this curse. Many devils have cried as a result. Frogman lightened things up a bit with his take on Arthur and Thor. Arthur! Having proven his worth by freeing Princess Jane from Astaroth of the Demon World, also known as the 10th Realm, Arthur was granted the powers of a thunder god, complete with his mighty hammer Mjolnir. Determined to continue to demonstrate his worth, he is sworn to fight all evil, even if he occasionally goofs and reveals his lightning bolt boxers. And speaking of Thor, we have a real-life Thor who did our next two. His name is Thor Volson. I'm not making that up. And he does amazing work for Nintendo Force magazine, and he's also part of a book that I am part of that's coming out probably next year by Brett Weiss. Thor's awesome art that you see here is a centerfold in the book. But let's see what he did for this little project. If you take Cammy from Street Fighter and mix her up with Captain Marvel, you get Captain Cammy, the Marvel. When the British Royal Air Force discovered Cammy Danvers, the 17-year-old had no memory of her life to that point. The RAF took her in, discovering nearly superhuman innate militaristic abilities, both in hand-to-hand combat and piloting skills. She became known simply as the Marvel among her peers and quickly rose to the rank of captain. Her military service would lead to a close bond with covert American operative Captain Joe Lawson. A freak accident during a mission not only revealed Lawson to really be a superpowered Kree alien from the forgotten world of Vulgus, but it also fused some of his own powers with Cammy. Now a fully established superhero who has decided to really own her nickname, Cammy the Marvel leads Delta Flight against all extraterrestrial threats. She continues to search for clues to her past. Though she chooses not to believe what Weapon B revealed to her during a confrontation, it is entirely possible she is a female clone of the mutant terrorist Magnus Bison. Thor really loves the Mega Man universe, and he jumped at the chance to work with Tron Dawn. So you take Tron Dawn, who does she go with? A fairly obscure character that you might recognize from games like Capcom's The Punisher, which is where this art comes from, or even Konami's X-Men game. His name is Bonebreaker. So you put them together, and you get Tron Bonebreaker. Now her bio is a little bit different in that both of these characters came in being themselves, and now, well, here goes. When a group of cyborg mercenaries known as the Reavers aim to upgrade themselves by invading the home of Tron Dawn and her mechanically inclined family for their wealth of spare parts, Tron and her 40 servbots mercilessly slaughtered the interlopers. Though her total obliteration of the Reavers was swift and without mercy, one of them, Bonebreaker, whom she found kind of cute, did manage to decapitate one of her servbots. Since she kind of liked him, she allowed him to live as a torso, hanging from her wall like a tapestry. She fed him just enough to keep him living, and taunted him further by modifying the small tank that was the lower half of his body for her own purposes, parading it before him every day. She honors the memory of Bonebreaker's one kill as a permanent fixture before her, and to extra freak him out. Finally, Maki Weight has to be one of the nicest guys who's an artist in comics today. After I saw his amazing work with sprites on these Deadpool covers, I asked him if he would be willing to do something for my wife and I for our wedding. And he did. He did this, and it was awesome. And then, a little after that, I asked him if he'd be interested in doing a sprite for the cover of my book, Wrong, Retro Games You Messed Up Our Comic Book Heroes. And he did. And then I asked him if he'd be interested in doing this, and of course, he did. So what happens when arguably the biggest Capcom character meets arguably the biggest Marvel character? In the year 2000X, Dr. Benjamin Light created his prototype example of thoughtful and emotional robotics, Peter, for an added bit of lab help, and as a young friend who could function as the son he and his wife May never had. Dr. Light got much more than he intended, however, after a radioactive spider crept onto the scene and bit Peter as his organic parts were being brought online. In addition to bringing a son-like figure into his own personal life, Dr. Light marveled at the spider-like abilities Peter demonstrated. He had great power that must be used responsibly as a protector of all. For years, Peter trained not only on how best to use his power, but also to understand the values of right and wrong. That is, until his beloved Uncle Ben was accidentally killed by a robot that had just been created by Dr. Light's associate, Dr. Otto Wily. Or was it an accident? From that day forward, Peter vowed to end all rogue robotics as the Mega Amazing Spider-Man. Except in Japan, where they call him Spider-Rockman. So I recorded all of those other ones a few days ago, and in the time since, I've got a cold, and I think you can probably hear it in my voice. But I wanted to give you one more bonus one, done by me completely. You guys know Ken Masters, right? Travels the world, doing adventures and stuff. Oh no, I'm not talking about this Ken Masters. I'm talking about this one. That's right, Marvel has its own Ken Masters, and they've had their own Ken Masters since 1939's Marvel Comics #1. This was a landmark issue that also introduced the Submariner and the Human Torch Android version. Marvel's Ken Masters is basically a less cool version of Indiana Jones, and he hasn't been seen since 1939. So let's bring him back by combining him with Capcom's Ken Masters.
You win!
Yeah, this is why I got other guys to do the real ones. So this was super fun to do, and I hope you enjoyed watching it nearly as much as I enjoyed putting it together. So what combinations of heroes would you like to see in the Combo universe? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, buy my Kindle book if you want to be really nice, and I'll talk to you next time.
Hadouken!